We're moving on to Henry now from Benton. Here's Henry's question. What are the implications for maxing 401k contributions between two employers? On track to max this year, he says. New job starting in a week. What problems do I face if I overshoot by a bit while trying to balance the two? Great question, Henry. And first of all, congratulations to you for maxing out those 401k contributions, getting those pre-tax dollars in and preparing for retirement. It can seem complex here, John, but I think if we break it down, it's not really complex in terms of understanding. It can be a little more complex in implementation.
Yeah, I think you have to say, okay, at the end of the term of your first job, you know how much you've contributed to your 401k plan. And what you have to do is just compare that to the overall annual contribution limit. The annual contribution limit, if you're under 50, is $22,500. And I think that bumps up to $30,000 if you're 50 or above. So let's say that you've contributed $15,000 and you're over 50, you've got $30,000 of cap, so you have another $15,000 that you can contribute. And if you are on a set salary, you have a percentage, but you basically just work through the math and try to get as close as you can to that maximum. You don't want to go over the maximum because it does get kind of complex. Your employer has to get involved. You have to back out contributions and pay tax on them and that type of thing. But the limit, Scott, on this only pertains to employee contributions. Your employer contributions do not affect your contribution limit. So that $30,000 or that $22,500 limit is not inclusive of what your employer puts away for you. So where this can get complex is if you are on some type of variable compensation.
Yeah, and I think where this gets sideways is we see this in client meetings all the time, because we obviously, when we're planning for a client's retirement, we want to know what they're at the end of their work life they're going to end up with from an asset level. And some of that has to do with assuming some rates of return with what they have, but a lot of it has to do with how much they're contributing to their employer plans or to their retirement plans. And we'll ask them, we'll say, how much are you contributing to your 401k? And they'll say 11%. Well, 11% of what, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the way it's set up, right? You have to normally choose your contribution as a percentage of your income. They don't let you just say, I want to put $22,500 in. And where this gets tricky, to John's point, and I'll tell you a personal example of this, is my wife, Sarah. She is in sales. So she has a structured salary, but then she gets quarterly bonuses based on performance, right? So if she sets 17% of her income as her contribution amount, well, that's pretty steady when she's getting those month-to-month paychecks. But when she gets a bonus, the employer is going to take 17% of that bonus. So what we have to watch, because she actually just got her bonus in September, is we are getting very close to hitting her cap before the year is over. Now, why does that matter? If you get 20, you may be listening to that and go, well, if you can get $22,500 and no more, and your employer stops putting money in when you hit that cap, what difference does it make if you do it in September versus December? Well, here's the answer. The employer match. It is called a match for a reason. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's matched based on your contribution. So if you max out in September and you are no longer putting your own money into your 401k in October and November and December, it is very likely that your employer match will not happen those last 3 months, and you could be missing out on thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. And I think back to the basis of the question, I think that you want to be very careful about this. You want to be sure that you don't go over. You want to involve your employer and let them know, hey, look, here's what I contributed at my old job. This is what I'm able to contribute in this one. Let's be sure that I don't contribute anymore, because then you get the IRS involved and it gets really complex and you end up paying taxes and maybe even a penalty.
That's all we really needed to say, right?
Yeah, that's it.
You could get the IRS involved, so don't do it. But you just have to stay on top of it. It's pretty easy, I think, Henry, to look back and see what your year-to-date contributions were at the previous employer. Most places are going to let you have online access to that, and it's probably going to be right there on your dashboard. How much you contributed, so you know where the cutoff point is. You know how much wiggle room you have at the new job, and you just have to do a little basic math to determine what percentage of your income that is.